Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter here. We have started a brand new month, March of 2020. So that means it's time to take a look back at the top 10 most expensive items that sold in my eBay store for the month of February 2020. So we're going to start at number 10 and work our way up to number 1. And here is the number 10 item right here. It is this Funko Pop that some of you may remember from a recent video I did called What to Do When Buyers Laugh at You. That's right, I had a buyer laugh at me telling me that there was no way that I was going to sell this item for anything close to the $49.99 price tag that I had at the time. And so a few days to a week later, this one sold for $47.50. So go into that video. I talk a lot about this Funko Pop and what to look for with Funko Pops, but the main point, just to tell you right now, if you haven't seen that video, is that Funko Pops are not all worthless. I have people tell me that they're just like Beanie Babies and that they just don't sell, and that's just not the case. There are plenty that are overproduced and don't sell for more than 10 bucks, but then there are ones like this that do sell well. Resident Evil is one of the series to look for, and in general I tell people to look for Resident Evil items because it's just such a popular video game series and movie franchise that came out, and they're looking to reboot it. In addition to that, go into the video and you'll see other little tips. And in fact, I actually have a playlist on my channel where I talk all about Funko Pops, how to source them. I show you some hauls that I wound up doing, and I also show you a lot of information about proper packing of them because they are items that can get damaged easily, so you really need to be careful. So go check those videos out for more information. But that was a $47.50 sale there. I wound up picking that up for around $2, and these cost around $4 to $5 to ship via first class mail. So overall, nice profit on that item. This one here, number 9, is a Sony TC250A tape recorder reel-to-reel tape player. So reel-to-reel is very important to look for. They're very easy to figure out that that's what it is because you just see these two reels side by side, which is why they're called reel-to-reel. Now, I actually wound up sourcing this for free. You may remember from this video me going back to the magician's house on the second day. If you didn't see that video series, definitely look for that. There were 2 parts to it. And the second day, the estate sale dealer put a notice on Facebook and said, hey, everything's free, come back. It was the last hour or so, and it was a free-for-all. So I knew this was there from the day prior, went up, and since it was free, I just grabbed it. And these are heavy, even though it is relatively compact. But if you ever picked up a reel-to-reel player, they are bulky, heavy items. So you got to be careful with regards to shipping. Now, it turns out that if you look at the prior market data for this item, the price range for one of these that when it doesn't work, if you're selling it for parts, is right around 50 bucks. So $45, $55, somewhere right around there. So at the time I sold this, I had it listed for $50 to $50. I had it above that for a little bit and just kind of lowered it down just a tad, and wound up taking a best offer, sold this one for $47.50. Now, I wound up shipping this through FedEx home delivery. It wound up going across the country. I'm located in New York, and I think it went out to like Washington. So it went out pretty far. But FedEx home delivery gave me a decent rate on it compared to USPS. USPS's price would have been close to the sale price, which is why you do not, especially if you're brand new, do not limit yourself to one shipping carrier. You need to have other options available. You could see here it says free economy shipping. I've mentioned this in other videos. You want to set your shipping up in these situations to economy, 1 to 10 day shipping, because it gives you all options to play with. You don't pin yourself down to a specific carrier, and you can do whatever you want once the item has sold. Now, there are many people who are going to say that they would do this via calculated shipping, which I understand if people want to do that. The thing to just keep in mind with that is that, again, knowing what the market rate for this is, if you're going to do calculated shipping on this item, then you're going to wind up listing it for around $25, 20 bucks. And then the shipping is going to be $20 to $25 or something like that. So the point is that nobody is going to pay $50 to $50 for this broken reel-to-reel player plus $24 shipping on top of that. It's just not anything the market has established for this item, and so that's why I did it the way that I did. But still doing it this way, having sourced it for free, I still made around 20 bucks on it. This is an easy item to pack up and send out, you know, given that it has a nice square to rectangular shape to it. And, you know, there's not a lot of complication to packing something like this. So we are going to move on to number 8. Some Star Wars things you're going to see today, and this is one of the many Star Wars figures that I have picked up. And one of the things that's important with Star Wars figures to know, because a lot of people will make this mistake, they'll go out and they'll find a case or a bag or a box that has Star Wars figures in them, and they'll look at the bottom. And so if we go over here and we take a look at Princess Leia's leg there, and you'll see there that it says 1977. So someone will see that, they'll know it's old, they'll know it's vintage, and they'll say, wow, this is great. You know, I've got a ton of money on my hands. Well, not that it wouldn't be bad, but it's not going to be at that higher range. If you want that higher range, here's the thing. You really need to have the weapon here, okay? So having her gun is really important and really enhances value. When they made the guns for the 1977 series of Star Wars and even subsequent series, a lot of the weapons are super, super tiny, and so they were easily lost. So just having the gun in and of itself actually can sell really well. Combining it with the figure, and I wound up taking a best offer on this one and sold it for $57. I wound up getting it at an estate sale for barely anything. I mean, literally in the cents range when you consider all the items that I got in for the lot for this. Now, I wound up photographing this by putting it on a plastic display stand and then basically cropping out around it and just adding a white background on it through photo fuse. And I like to just put in different types of poses so you could see all different angles of the figure. And white background on this really helped it pop. And you want that first image to be one that's like, you know, just really just coming right out at the person, really dynamic. You almost feel like that gun is coming through you through the screen. So that's you know, something important to keep in mind in terms of your staging. Try to make it nice and clean like that, not have anything distracting in the backgrounds. Moving on to number 7. This is one of my favorite ones. It's hard to figure out which one is my favorite one this month. It's probably a tie between this one and the Funko Pop. The Funko Pop, because someone was laughing and saying it wouldn't work, and I love just defying somebody and showing that someone said it wouldn't sell and then showing them that it did. But this item is really interesting because so many people pass this up. For those longtime viewers of the channel, you may remember this from a few months ago when I found this sitting on the shelf at an estate sale, and a bunch of people were just walking by it. And one of the points I made in the video is don't walk by something like this, even though it looks super boring, right? There's nothing about it that really excites you. What should excite you actually are the words on there: Super 8 and Splicer. So these are really important, and the fact that it is sealed is an added bonus here that really helps to enhance value. The vintage Super 8 items are really popular, and the splicers are popular as well because they help to join the different pieces of tape together when people are doing editing. And so to have a brand new item like that, basically a new old stock piece, people really like. Film collectors will pick up pieces like this. I took a best offer on this one, sold it for $64.99. Interestingly, it went out to China, so I don't know what they plan to do with it over there. But I had hoped that actually I would be able to get some more out of this item, but you know, $64.99 for something that I picked up for really less than $1 at that estate sale. I wound up getting everything at that particular estate sale in this video, everything in that estate sale for 23 bucks. So this more than paid for everything I got just at that sale. And I've already made profit from other things. So this is really just profit from this item. So not bad. But the key lesson here is to make sure you are not passing up boring looking items. Boring looking items can still bring you lots of money depending on what it is. So keep a lookout for this. Now, this is an example of something that's totally opposite in terms of not boring whatsoever. Like, this is the stuff that excites a lot of people when they see something like the Ultimate Warrior there, right? I mean, who doesn't love the Ultimate Warrior? I remember watching the pay-per-view when Ultimate Warrior fought Hulk Hogan. That was just amazing. We couldn't believe that match. That was a great one. And, you know, people will pay up big money for vintage wrestling posters. There are a lot of them that are quite rare and that will sell for even several hundreds of dollars. If you find the promo posters for wrestling in which they are advertising matches from back in the day and they have a wrestler or several wrestlers, they're usually red and white. It's like a white background with red letterings. I've sold one of those before for over $300, and those are best to actually put on auction if you find those. That's one of the things that I would say to auction off, because those just go for crazy amounts. Some of them will even go to upwards to around $1,000, just depending on who is fighting. But this one I just picked up at an estate sale. I got it for around $1. It was in a tube. The person who's selling it didn't even care what was in the tube. Just, you know, I told them there was a poster in there, and obviously they knew that because it was in a poster tube, and they're just like, all right, you know, buck. So this one sold for $62, went out to Canada with the global shipping program. So keep that in mind. There's, you know, 2 items so far. In fact, the last 2 I'm showing you are ones that sold with the global shipping program. So if you don't have that enabled, it's something that really could help increase your sales. It's just going to open up the global market for you. So consider doing that. Anyway, this one here, and by the way, one last point with the wrestlers, anything wrestling that is in the 1980s range, super hot right now. People who grew up with these types of items, you know, are now in their 40s, you know, some in their 50s, and they're, you know, wanting to grab these items for nostalgia. And a lot of these wrestlers, like the Ultimate Warrior, have passed away. And so they've taken on even more significance because people want to buy these as commemorative items to hang in their man cave and things like that. A lot of wrestlers have unfortunately passed away who really, you know, should be alive right now, but you know, they're not. Anyway, let's move on to the next item, and I've almost lost track. So let's see, that's we're 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, so 5. We're kind of halfway through here. You're going to see several of these. I showed one of these before in a prior video when I showed the Luke Skywalker backing board card that sold for around $107, $115, something like that. This is the R2D2 version, and there's going to be several ones I'm going to show you here today, which you may remember from one of my videos. I think it was the one that was called eBay is Not Dead. So check that video up. You will see the offer come in for this while I am actually, well, it came in like moments before I started to do the show. And so I just went through the offers and just accepted them live, like as I'm actually doing the video. And so this one, the person offered me $73 for, so I took $73 for it. And it is literally, if you are just new coming to this on my channel, this is literally just a piece of cardboard. That's all it is. It's the original piece of cardboard from 1977 that held the actual figure in place. So you could see the figure is not there right now. It has been removed. The plastic blister pack is gone. And what people will do is they will take these and they will try to reconstruct new looking packages. And, you know, if they're being honest, they're going out and they're buying and getting new mint figures to put in there. Some people will try some type of scams in which they'll take, old, bad figures and try to paint them up, touch them up, and put them in there and sell them as new. But there are also a lot of people who are picking up things like this for legitimate reconstruction or similar types of projects. One of the things I've mentioned before with this, which is very important to keep in mind, not just with this, but with any type of collectible item that's a toy particularly that you're picking up, is that, and especially if it's vintage, is that if it had a spot on top, you see above the letters S and T, if it had a spot above there where it's supposed to be punched through to hang on a peg in the store for display and it hasn't been punched through, that means it's unpunched, and that adds significant value to the item. And you definitely want to use that term in your listing. So you could see there, it's one of the first things that I mentioned is that it is unpunched. Now, if it's punched, you mention that in your description, but it's not something you really want to advertise in your, in your title. You don't want to waste up space for that because it's not really a selling point. It's not going to be something that's going to prevent you from selling it. It's just, this is like a cherry on the top, which helps add extra value to the item. So $73 sale there. Now I picked up this one and several other backing boards at an estate sale. It was literally going to be thrown in the trash. They just thought it was, the people who had it just thought it was garbage because the figures weren't there. And in fact, a lot of sellers who don't know will think that this is garbage and that it won't sell because it doesn't have the figures. And many people have tossed backing boards like this away, not realizing that it is something that can be sold. Moving on to the next item. This is another one that some of you longtime prime timers may remember. Over the summertime, it was one of the last items that I picked up at a garage sale towards the end of the day. It was a vintage GE toaster. Really cool piece to find it in the box. The person who sold it to me was the son of someone who was a hoarder. And in the house, this was just something he just picked out of a room that day and just decided to just toss it out on the lawn. I saw it out there for a few bucks. Now, I had to have this one sit for a while, but eventually wound up selling this one for $75. This is the actual place. If you didn't see it, or even if you did see it, want a little nostalgia, right after this part right here, I see it there laying there on the tarp. So anytime you could find these old toasters, even if it doesn't work, it still was worth picking up, because people will sometimes just use them for display, and not only someone who may have had it in the past would use it for display for nostalgia purposes, but the other thing is that people who are looking to do some type of video series or a movie, even Hollywood producers purchase things like this. They have their staff go out and get it so that they could have period pieces that show up in their backgrounds. And so this is me when I came home to Primetime Treasure headquarters, and I tested it out, and this thing was super cool because it's amazing the heat that came off of this thing. I mean, it fired up super fast, and I mean, it was like, the heat that just came out of it was crazy. And you look inside of it when it heated up, and it just like almost instantly turned like an orange glow. You'll see me press it down right here, and there you could see the grate just instantly like heating up like that, which is a really cool thing to see, for such an old piece, that it still worked and it still heated up like that. It was awesome. And I'm happy to say that the person who received it left me really positive feedback, that they were just thrilled with the item. So I love that. It's one of my favorite things about reselling. You could just imagine the person who purchased this probably had this item in the past and wanted to reconnect with it. So to be able to get that for somebody and bring them some happiness and some joy is really a lot of fun to do. I really like doing that. So moving on, this is going to be number 8. So this one I actually just sold today. This is one of the last items that I have left from my Star Wars haul that I did last year. This is the Land of the Jawas. And the point I want to make about this one is that even if you come across vintage Star Wars items like this one is 1979, even if you find vintage Star Wars items like this that are not complete, they will still sell for good money, especially if you have the box. And even if the box is damaged, like this is not a perfect box. As you can see there is stripping of the cardboard to the right. The whole price sticker isn't there on the top, and there are pieces of tape on the side of it. Not uncommon with these older boxes that people would put tape across them like this. And also there's creasing, like you can see a horizontal crease that goes across it. Of course, if those things were not there, it would increase the value. One of the things that's missing on the bottom, you could see there's a gray escape rocket. That is not there. That's missing. That's an important piece. But what is there is that we have the base, and we also have the sand crawler there. Now, we are missing one of the posts of the sand crawler. If you look closely, you could see the one to the right is there, but the one to the left is not there. So if you're not really into toys, you might wonder, why would somebody buy something like this? Believe it or not, there are people that will buy this to get it at a discount, because a complete one will go for up to around $200. So they'll feel they're getting a discount, they're getting the box, they're getting almost everything. All they really have to do is get a piece of cardboard, fold it, and put it right into that other side there, and now they have it held up, and then they just have to go out and look for one of the escape rockets and pick that up. It's got a working elevator shaft on the bottom, and that's the other thing I would suggest. If you go and look at my listing for this item, I mentioned that certain things work. I tell them what is there, what isn't there. Don't leave it to any kind of guesswork for the buyer. Put it all out there for them to see. Test your items out. That will increase the chance that you could sell it, and sell it quick. So this one sold within hours of me putting it up there. Was happy to get $75 out of that one. And if you just want a little fun memories from me finding this one, and if you didn't see the video, go back and check out my Star Wars haul video. But there it is right there, me picking it out of that basement when I crawled back into that crawl space. And, just pulled it out, checked out all the different pieces there. So, that was a fun sale to go to. That was the top video that I pinned on my channel for almost all of last year. I've now replaced that with the Mile High series. You could see there, by the way, in the back, you might have seen that little piece there. There was a little... let me show you. Maybe I could get that little part to show you real quick. There's a little bit of there it is. A little bit of insulation that was kind of sticking out. And what happens is when animals, there it is. Darn it. When animals are up, like rats and stuff like that, they will go and they will get insulation and they will carry it and bring it into the boxes when they nest. So at one point there was a rat or a mouse or something like that that went in there and was nestling inside the back of that sand crawler. And they take that stuff and they like I said, they kind of nest with it. So you got to be careful and safe when you're cleaning this stuff out. If you want to use gloves or anything like that, you're just gonna have to go back and pause it. But there is a little purple spot up there, which is some insulation. And be careful, because you'll find fecal matter and stuff like that. There could be dried urine and things. So you got to be careful with the stuff and be health conscious and make sure that you're not, that you're not communicating any germs. Make sure you're washing your hands really good when you're handling things like this that you're getting out of basements, crawl spaces, attics, stuff like that, because you're going to come across all these types of germ-ridden things sometimes. This is another one of the backing boards that sold. This one sold for $83, so it's the same type of thing. It's just a different character. It's Chewbacca. This one, as you can see, is also unpunched up top. It's a really nice piece, really pretty clean. Not much evidence of the blister pack being torn off, which really makes it ideal for a good reconstruction project. There is some stripping there at the bottom, but a person who's really good at restoration can fix stuff like that up. So overall, all things said and done, that was a great one too. In fact, the same person who bought this one bought the R2D2 one and bought another one as well. So this is the number one item for the month. This is actually the first item that I sold in February, which is this vintage record player diamond needle tester store display item. I love things like this. Super cool. anything that was used to bring into a store and advertise how a particular product works, these are really great items. This one sold lickety split. I had it up for $99. They're $99.99. They're absolutely zero comps for something like this, so I had to just try to find something somewhat similar, things in the record industry, things about diamond needles, and anything related to a tester, but there wasn't anything like a store display like this. But anyway, priced it for $100. I felt that was fair given what I saw for other types of things, but not again this exact thing, and took a best offer that came in for $85. This is the first item that I found when I came down these staircases right here at this estate sale. So I just like, bringing this stuff back to you and showing you, when I find something and eventually what it sells for. I feel it kind of completes the process. So there you can see that had an $8 price tag on it, but I actually got it for less than that once you figure what I paid for everything that day and all the stuff that I got. That was just a great purchase right there. And by the way, one of the things to mention, and I did say this in my ad, is that you could see here, this would be a challenging thing to ship out because it's screwed in on the bottom there and you don't want it to break off or snap off and then damage the wood. So what I tell people in situations like this is that I am going to unscrew it and that I am going to send it out that way. And that cardboard piece you could see there, you could just remove that. So I put the cardboard piece on the bottom, I unscrewed this and then laid it down to the side, bubble wrapped it to protect the metal from the wood underneath it, and put the screws in a bag, taped the screws to the metal part, and made sure I put a post-it note on there saying, do not throw this out, do not discard it. You have to basically anticipate all the things that a buyer might do to cause an issue and a complaint or something like that. So make sure you put all that type of stuff out there ahead of time in terms of what you're going to do, and make it very clear when they open it up so they don't throw out any small pieces like screws or anything like that. So that is the summary for all the items this month. Scrolling back here just to refresh your memory of all the different items that we went over today. So it was a lot of fun going back and looking at all these different items. I wish I would have had some $100 plus items. Most months I do. This month I didn't. I do have a bunch of items priced like that in my store. They just haven't sold quite yet. So hopefully those will sell in the next couple months, and then I'll be showing them to you in future installments of this video series. But this was still good to see nonetheless, because I do tell people to try to see if they could go out there and source items so that they can get some sales that are in that $50 to $85, $90 price range, and start getting some things moved out of that common sweet spot of $10 to $20, which is where a lot of people's sales are at. So if you could find some of these types of items, and here's 10 examples of things just from February alone, and there are other ones in that $50 range that I don't have presented here, but that could really help make a nice, fun, and exciting month for you, and then motivate you going forward into the next one. So I hope that you found all these different items helpful, and let me know your favorite one down below. I always like to see that. So if you like the video, make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. We have over 16,000 members in there. So a lot of fun, exciting things going on there. Follow me over at Instagram. That's at prime_time_treasure. And if you would like to donate to support the channel, there is a link right here to do that. So I appreciate all of your help, all of your support, and look forward to continue to make lots of fun, enjoyable videos for you in March and the months beyond. So take care, everyone. Have a great month.